Typhoon Megi hits Taiwan with scenes of destruction seen all across the island. Tzu Chi volunteers set aside their own cleanup work to help others less fortunate. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Lee-Shioda. Thank you for joining us. As Typhoon Megi departs Taiwan, cleanup work across the island has just begun in many areas, like New Taipei City and Kaohsiung. In Yanchao, Kaohsiung, devastation was more severe, where a small landslide was reported. It struck a two-story home, and search and rescue efforts are underway. Excavators are digging out the muddy debris to clear a pathway to Mr. Shi's home, as a landslide caused by the typhoon has blocked the road. Knowing her ancestral home has been hit by a landslide, the daughter is worried about her 86-year-old father, 82-year-old mother, and 50-year-old brother, all of whom were living there. The landslide is thought to have inundated the home through the empty rooms. And although everyone's bedroom were on the other side, the fast and furious landslide quickly filled up the first floor.
The entire first floor is filled with mud. Currently, we have cut an opening through the second floor ceiling. And with the cooperation of the military, as well as our own guys, we are removing the muddy debris by hand.
In a race against time, besides hand digging out the debris, search and rescue dogs have also been dispatched. While heavy machinery wait at the ready, Tzu Chi volunteers have also arrived to offer support for the family members. So far, one of the family's dog has been found, and it is hoped further good news about the owners will follow. Meanwhile, in New Taipei City, workers who are about 50 meters above ground are removing wall tiles that are about to fall at this parking garage in Xinzhuang.
We have workers in cranes now, so currently we're removing pieces that look to pose a danger.
Roping off the danger zone, traffic cops direct vehicles to go around, while the owners of the garage discuss further dismantling points. Thankfully, no injuries were reported from this potentially deadly accident. Over in Xindian, New Taipei City, the typhoon carried a lot of marine debris up onto the banks of the stream. At the wetlands, common reeds that used to stand tall are now lying down as if signaling defeat. Cleanup crews drive a bobcat to help clear away a path. The city government has dispatched a water truck to wash away the debris as the cleanup work has just begun. The winds of Typhoon Megi that struck on September 27th were some of the strongest that Taiwan has felt in recent years. Homes across Taiwan were seriously battered in the storm, and many lost their roofs entirely, leaving families vulnerable to the elements. We'll visit an elderly senior in Tainan who was home alone when her roof blew away. But first, we'll stop in Kaohsiung at the home of a Tzu Chi volunteer whose fifth-floor home was flooded after losing its roof.
These volunteers are working quickly to remove the battered metal sheets out of fear that if the winds pick up again, they may injure passersby. After Typhoon Megi hit, this is what is left of the roof of Tzu Chi volunteer Lin Deshan's fourth-floor home in the Sanmin district of Kaohsiung.
It was about 3 in the morning. The roof hadn't blown off yet. The noise was intense. I wanted to secure it with something, but I couldn't stand, and a bit later it was torn up. Then the whole roof flew off and the rain started to pour in.
The roof here was blown off by strong winds and the water kept pouring in. Volunteer Lin Deshan was incredibly anxious, but thankfully his Tzu Chi family was there to help out.
I was up and calling people to help out at 7 in the morning. All the volunteers were working selflessly to help relieve him of the hardship of this flooding. I'm very grateful for the help. After it blew away, there's no way I could fix the roof myself without any help.
Lin Deshan said that now as a disaster victim himself, he can better understand the emotions of people being helped. He is incredibly thankful for the 15 Tzu Chi volunteers who came to fix his roof and to help him in his own time of need. These metal roofing sheets were completely torn away in the incredibly strong winds of Typhoon Megi. It was all witnessed by this elderly woman who was deeply shaken by the event. Tzu Chi volunteers offer their soothing voices and hugs to ease the fears of this 80-year-old resident who lives alone. Volunteers are sad to see her distraught and offer what love and warmth they can.
We've never seen winds this strong, but it will be all right. The Master is looking out for you. Don't worry, okay?
The volunteers try to soothe her heart as they examine the damage on the house from the wind and flooding. The senior lives next to relatives in a connected structure under the same roof. When the metal roofing was blown away, 2 homes were left vulnerable to the elements.
The winds were incredible, knocking against the walls and tearing things down. It took less than a minute, and then the wind just stopped.
After 4 o'clock on the afternoon, Megi hit the western plains in Taiwan. Many families suffered similarly with wind and water damage to their homes. Tzu Chi volunteers in the area acted quickly to get in touch with affected residents and do whatever they can to help them in the wake of this disaster.
Struggling to recover from Typhoon Megi has led many Tzu Chi volunteers to worry about the preparedness of澎湖residents with the arrival of Typhoon Megi. With winds picking up at 5 o'clock on Tuesday, volunteers began to call care recipients around the island, telling them to prepare for the typhoon. Fortunately, Typhoon Megi didn't wreak serious damage in澎湖.
After Typhoon Megi left Taiwan, it traveled westward towards澎湖with gusts growing in strength and waves increasing in strength, leading boats to seek out a safe harbor. Tzu Chi volunteers established a disaster prevention center at the Jingse Hall to look after the safety of the people on these outlying islands.
Last time we went to Penghu's Chimei Township, and several households there have yet to be repaired. Now that the wind and rain have come once again, we hope the village chief can help us in caring for these residents.
Due to the previous Typhoon Megi, Wang'an and Chimei townships were badly damaged, with many houses yet to be rebuilt. With Typhoon Megi bearing down on this area, many Tzu Chi volunteers expressed their concern.
Because of our last experiments, this time we call upon them to do a good job in preparing for the typhoon.
The master has been very concerned about Chimei villagers, as we haven't completed all of the repairs yet, and another typhoon arrives, which makes it quite difficult for these villages.
After a full night of strong winds by Typhoon Megi finally left Magong City on Wednesday morning. And then it was back to normal life for residents who cleared the streets from trees that were toppled over, as fortunately there were no casualties in澎湖as a result of this typhoon.
Worried about the destruction that Typhoon Megi might bring to Fujian, China, Tzu Chi's Xiamen office opened its doors to let nearby workers seek shelter before the typhoon made landfall. Volunteers also visited residents in Liling village of Guankou Township, reminding them about typhoon preparedness.
Before Typhoon Megi made landfall in China, Tzu Chi's Xiamen office opened its doors to let nearby workers seek shelter.
I was very scared, but after coming here to stay at this temporary shelter, I feel much better.
Volunteers didn't dare to underestimate the damage that Typhoon Megi might bring to this region. They had set up a temporary shelter for local residents on 27th and offered them breakfast in the morning on the 28th.
The subway station is nearby, so the workers may come here to have a meal. We don't need many people to help out, but we should have the meals well prepared. We 3 volunteers can cook for many.
We're thankful for Tzu Chi's assistance during the typhoon. They provided us with a safe temporary shelter here.
Residents in Liling village of Guankou Township have developed a good relationship with Tzu Chi since Typhoon Megi hit this region earlier. Volunteers went door to door to survey residents' houses and remind them about typhoon preparedness.
那晚上一定要注意安全哈，这2天哈。那你自己要注意啊。我自己。那让老公多做一点没关系，等你身体恢复了，再帮他多做一点。安全最重要。对呀对呀，最有福。
All of the residents in this village stay at the temporary shelter over there. They went here on their own. Safety is the priority. Before they got notified, they all went there on their own.
Typhoon Megi destroyed the farmers' harvest in Liling village earlier this year, and Typhoon Megi was suddenly going to hit this region again. Volunteers went door to door to urge preparedness as well as comfort residents, since many were worried about the destruction that the typhoon might bring to their newly planted crops.
After the passing of the typhoon, Taichung City's cleaning staff and over 300 Tzu Chi volunteers ventured out to clean up the city. Though some of the volunteers were typhoon victims themselves, they still came to help clean up. Meanwhile, in Hualien, employees of various Tzu Chi missions visited Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital, Tzu Chi University, and the Jingse boat to clean up the environment.
The medical staff of Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital wears gloves and uses brooms to clean up the environment around the hospital.
Some tree branches may be in the gutter, so if it rains again, it will affect the drainage. We must restore the environment quickly so patients who come to our hospital will have a safe environment.
Many trees have also fallen in the Jingse abode. Dharma masters and Tzu Chi volunteers work together to clean up the place. Staff and students of Tzu Chi University also cleaned up their campus together.
I came here after having my breakfast. We have today off, so I feel I should come here and clean up the place.
Everyone works together to restore the environment, which shows us the power of mutual help after the storm. Many trees have fallen or have been torn to pieces here in Taichung. Tzu Chi volunteers move big tree branches to the roadsides or sweep fallen leaves. Zhou Qianliang is a grandfather and he brought his granddaughter to clean up the street.
Take it with 2 hands, then bring it over there.
I worried the elderly couldn't exercise here anymore, so I came to help.
Tzu Chi volunteer Liu Guiying is also a typhoon victim. The strong winds caused her roof to hang precariously off the 7th floor.
The sound of the fierce wind came repeatedly, and there was downpour, so I couldn't sleep all night.
Liu Guiying couldn't sleep all night until the typhoon had weakened. When she heard people were needed to clean up the park, she decided to put aside her own troubles.
Now I have time, so I came to help the community.
Near the front door of this elementary school are wet leaves, and they can make people slip and fall. Therefore, the volunteers work together to clean up the street. They use a canvas from somewhere to gather the leaves. After Typhoon Megi, Tzu Chi volunteers in Taichung, as well as all over Taiwan, are all pitching in to clean up their cities.
In the aftermath of Typhoon Megi, many residents were not only dealing with damaged roofs and flooding, but many were also left without electrical power. This means that in the days following the disaster, many families were unable to cook meals in their homes. Thankfully, Tzu Chi volunteers across Taiwan mobilized to make sure that everyone was safe and that no one went hungry. We'll join some volunteers in Tainan as well as Yilan as they pass out warm meals and spread love to affected residents.
On the morning of the 28th, Yilan was being hit by the outer rim of Typhoon Megi. Tzu Chi volunteers were worried throughout the night about the storm. In Jinzhong village of Wujie Township, the damage was serious. Skipping lunch in order to continue to help with cleanup, volunteers divided up into 5 teams with a total of 86 people to survey the community and check on the needs of affected residents. The damage was significant. Engineers were on the scene to examine the damage.
Provincial Highway number 7 crosses over Taiping Mountain.
While checking to make sure residents are doing okay, the meals volunteers deliver will also give them strength and hopefully lift their spirits as they face the task of cleaning up and repairing their homes. Volunteers are preparing lunches for residents who are dealing with flooded homes. Delivering these meals will lift the spirits and warm the hearts of residents. With damaged roofs, the rain water poured in. Electricity was also lost the night of the typhoon. Taking these warm meals from volunteers warms the hearts of these affected residents. In Tainan City's Longshan Borough in Qilu district, the low-lying area near the sea was not only flooded by Typhoon Megi, but residents have also lost electricity, leaving many unable to cook. The borough head called on Tzu Chi for assistance.
The first hour, we headed to Longshan community. The borough head said on the phone that it was flooded up to chest level. We were sad to hear that and immediately mobilized. The borough head hoped that we could bring some warm food for around 500 people.
In total, volunteers prepared and delivered 618 meals to residents in Qilu, Xinhua, and Rende districts. With each warm meal, Tzu Chi also sends a little love to these residents as they deal with the difficult aftermath of Typhoon Megi.
The Zhanghua Coast is Taiwan's best offshore wind turbine site, where offshore wind power generation is 2 to 3 times as effective as onshore ones. However, it comes at a higher cost as well as a greater degree of engineering difficulty. Taiwan currently has more than 350 onshore wind turbines, but so far no offshore ones. Within the next 10 years, Zhanghua will see 500 offshore wind turbines installed, and within 20 years, a total of 1,000 are planned. Let's take a look at this form of renewable energy.
The Zhanghua Coastal Industrial Park is the location of these huge wind turbines, which look magnificent as they turn in the wind from a distance. Here's the entrance to this wind turbine. Technicians carrying out maintenance must put on special protective gear to make repairs. Inside the turbine is a hollow steel structure as we take a lift up to 64 meters above the ground. Here's the cabin of the wind turbine. Here you can see the blades slowly turning and converting the wind into kinetic energy.
The blade is connected to the spindle, which is linked to the gearbox, which drives our generator.
Wind turbines can be located either onshore or offshore. At the moment, Taiwan has 350 onshore turbines.
There's a bottleneck on how many onshore wind turbines Taiwan erects, but it has very good offshore wind power resources.
As a result, the government within 10 years will construct 500 offshore wind turbines, distributed mostly off the coast of Zhanghua. However, erecting a wind turbine at sea is much more difficult than on land for reasons of transport and assembly. First of all, a platform ship needs to travel to the location at sea, with a crane lifting a jacket-type assembly into the 20-meter deep seabed and then affixing it to 4 steel pile fixtures before the 78-meter-tall wind turbine can be completed. To collect data on wind speed and direction, in January of this year, Taipower erected a weather tower in the coastal area of Zhanghua. Here is Zhanghua's Fangyuan Wanggong Fishing Harbor, and behind me at sea, about 4 kilometers away, you can see the weather tower. In the next 10 years, to the left, you will see 300 wind turbines, and to the right, you will see 200 wind turbines. The world's most promising wind farm lies off the coast of Zhanghua, though it doesn't have a single offshore wind turbine. Unfortunately, the situation took an unexpected turn this year.
We expect construction to begin taking place every day over here, and to establish the underwater bases, there will be lots of underwater noise, which will have an impact on the white dolphins.
Environmental groups say the government's attempts to develop wind energy will rob the white dolphin of their critical habitat.
I think the location of the wind turbines is better to be located further offshore, at a depth greater than 30 meters.
Installing wind turbines farther from the coast will come at a higher cost.
72-year-old fisherman Mr. Hong says his industry is facing its most difficult period. The space between wind turbines is about 100 to 200 meters, and when putting out our nets, the waves move it around, and sometimes it gets tangled, with the propeller of the fishing boat making it very dangerous.
This construction of offshore wind turbines will impact the fisheries sectors, and we will need to find appropriate assistance or compensation.
A government interministerial group continues to encounter conflict with civil groups. In the past 10 years, the budget for investment in offshore wind turbines has increased to more than $12.7 billion US. Each onshore wind turbine costs around $2,000 US and can generate 2,000 watts, while the cost of offshore wind turbines is between $5,000 and $6,000 US. Each can produce 2.5 times the energy with a total cost of $25.5 million US.
Currently, Taiwan's offshore wind power is completely relied upon foreign technology.
With no construction of offshore wind turbines taking place, Taiwan's plan to have a nuclear-free homeland by 2025 could lead to a gap of 3 million kilowatts of power, as the government is quickly looking to establish its green energy policy.
We will need to rely on foreign experience to learn how to implement this plan to allow the turbine technology to take root in Taiwan.
Offshore wind turbines will be a new thing for Taiwan, but in the future, wherever one goes, whether it's the West Coast or澎湖Islands, one may soon see offshore wind turbines. In our next installment, we'll take a look at how澎湖is trying to harness the power of the wind.
After a major earthquake rocked the country of Haiti in 2010, Tzu Chi volunteers arrived to offer support and rebuild. The love and care from Tzu Chi still continues to this day. Recently, volunteers visited again to provide rice for the needy, giving them a reason to smile once more. Tzu Chi volunteers visit the slums of Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince. They quickly discover residents living in metal shacks where there is little furniture. If residents were able to scavenge a mattress, they were considered lucky. These scenes of hardship have yet to improve since Tzu Chi made its first visit to Haiti in 2010. In mid-September, Tzu Chi volunteers distributed 7,500 bags of rice, filling the stomachs of 2,500 poor residents.
I live alone and I'm old. Thank you, Tzu Chi, for your assistance of bringing rice to us. The previous rice you gave me, I ate it quickly and soon ran out. I wish Tzu Chi could visit a few more times. Really, this place needs our help. We need to continue to come here to give them rice.
Spreading Tzu Chi's great love, volunteers' care will continue, never ceasing to shine in Haiti. In the United States, to celebrate the 11th annual Confucius Day, the New York Chinese School in Manhattan held an event and invited the local Tzu Chi Academy to attend. There, children dressed as Confucius and put on a wonderful performance. We will leave you with these images at the end of our program. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.